Devotees, Bhakto, Sitaram, Jai Shri Krishna, Om Namah Shivaya, Boliye Bajrang ki Jai. We are approaching, or we are very close to this part of the year which is dedicated to Bhagwan Shiva, or the one who balances the whole universe. He pervades the universe, and we are not talking about the earth, but he pervades that which causes life to be maintained and life to be sustained. And why this is important is that we want to know, after knowing the nature of Shiva, how can our life really be different? And this is what this session is all about, that you go to say, well, look, I am praying so much, I've been around so much, I have read so much of the scriptures, I've attended so many prayer meetings, I've attended so much satsangs, but yet I cannot see the change in my life. I cannot see the improvement in my life. I still feel that there are certain shortcomings. And this is where we need to attune ourselves to the gift. And this gift that I'm talking about is the Rishi has given us certain concepts which unmask the mysteries of why we are here, what do we expect from our birth, and what is the joy of not having, when it comes to the end, this human body. And so we start by saying Om Namah Shivaya, traveling to Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. So over the next couple of days, there would be a lot of chanting. And why I'm saying we start where we are as ordinary mortals, and we will do a lot of Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. But the real goal of Om Namah Shivaya is to Shivoham, which means when we recognize that, we are one with the divine spirit, we are not different from the divine spirit, because as this beautiful caption on the screen says, do not feel lonely. The entire universe is inside of you. But because there was not a lot of space, it should continue. The entire universe is inside of you and outside of you. Now, only when you recognize that the universe is outside of you, then you're able to use the external factors to benefit your life and to give you a life full of enrichment. Very often when we are meditating, we are told that you must close your eyes and draw yourself within. But if you close your eyes, you're going to miss the trick. The trick is sometimes to meditate with your eyes open and glorify the creation of the Creator. When you see that you are one with the birds flying in the sky, the fish swimming in the ocean, but you also have the power to influence all the other beings in the universe to work in your favor. Now, with this new knowledge, can you imagine the changes you can bring in your life? So let us say from today, we now know that Shivaham or Bhagwan Shiva, that supreme consciousness that is inside of you, is also linked to every other animate and inanimate beings. And it's very important to appreciate this when we are praying, when we are focusing on the supreme entity or the supreme power or the supreme energy, that same energy permeates every other living and non-living thing. And you can break this down to your own life experiences. Let us say one day you have, maybe your computer is not working, and then you say, oh God, or oh Bhagwan, or oh Krishna, or whatever you call your Bhagwan, what, please make this thing work. And as though like a miracle, it works again. This is, the simplest way to demonstrate what we call the presence of the divine power in each and everything. So this is what was written. One moment, please. This is what was written by Aldous Huxley, one of the foremost philosophers and scientists of the last century. And I would like you to guess what he is referring to. Just be one. I want you to. Yeah. He's referring, says the whole thing is there. Now, what is the thing he's referring to? The whole thing is there, you see, the world of space and time, and matter and energy, the world of creation and destruction, the world of psychology. We, the West, do not have anything remotely approaching such a comprehensive symbol, which is both cosmic and psychological and spiritual. It's wonderfully described about what is being referred to. And now I will show you the symbol of exactly what Aldous Huxley was referring to. And this is what we call the celestial dance of Nataraj. This symbol that we have in front of us represents the whole, what we call psychology and philosophy of the creation of this world. And the beauty with this is that you are part and parcel of this creation. And this is a beautiful knowledge to have. And once you have this knowledge, then you will be amazed how your life suddenly changes. And remember, this is the knowledge that every other soul is linked up to your Atma. And the consciousness that is within you, that consciousness pervades every other entity. The people who have mastered this concept have become what we call earth changers or world changers. And the one that comes to my mind is Ravan, who mastered the concept of Shivoham, that he became as close as possible to Bhagwan Shankar as one can ever be, having immense power. And that is why the rishis and the yogis were very careful not to teach how to get this power, because this power make you as powerful as the power of creation. But we as ordinary mortals would use Om Namah Shivaya just to make sure we get a comfortable life, to make sure that if we are looking for a job, that we pray in our mind that the Shiva or the divine entity that resides in the heart of the person who we are applying for this position to is influenced by the consciousness within us. It can be used if you are searching, let us say, for a life partner, that you go to your own consciousness within you and you send out what we call an identifier message to identify what we call a common endeared Atma or a common endeared Shiva residing in that entity whom you want to make part of your life. But it goes deeper, that we must also acknowledge that the divinity resides in the person that is next to us. And sometimes it's difficult concept, but the moment you start to throw out and project your divinity or your Shiva, suddenly your next door neighbor is Shiva. Suddenly, the person who you really disliked yesterday, today, you are, for want of another word, very benevolent, caring, and has thoughts of love and affection to that person. So it becomes very, very possible to live a life of happiness. Now, there is always certain conditions. It doesn't mean that everyone is going to be like you. So therefore, you always have to be conscious of those who are not good for you, like Ravan. Those who have not reached your level of elevation and have no consciousness of being Shiva or Shiva-like, then without that consciousness, they can seek to make you very unhappy. And therefore, you always have to be focused and let your intuition guide you as to what action you will take once you're under the protection of Shiva and become Shivoham. When you become this divine person, they could be lesser beings who feel disempowered by your divinity, and therefore you can be seen as a threat. But let us go back and understand how you can use this power, because all of you, once we start to think of Shiva, Shiva previously did not have a form, but as time went on, our ancestors put a form to what they thought our Bhagwan should be. And that is where the form of Nataraja came. But Bhagwan, as you will see when we do the chanting, is form and formless. That is his nature. So we cannot deny Bhagwan to have a form, because he is omnipotent. There's nothing that we can dictate to Bhagwan. Is what Bhagwan chooses to do, that is what Bhagwan shall do. If Bhagwan wants to be the form of, let us say, any object, then you will empower that object with the divinity that resides within you. So let us say the first form of your new self is to understand your ability to be of a creative nature, which is called Shrishti, or creation. The form of Nataraj, and we can go back to this form again. And that this is the left side, that is the right side. And the first form, as you can see, is that, one moment. Yeah. The first form of Bhagwan is Nataraja, left arm, and he carries a damaru. It's the whole universe was created from sound. And the symbol of this damaru is the vibration, this constant rhythmic movement of sound that creates this whole universe. And you can create so much thing by being in synchrony with this beautiful rhythm. And remember, this rhythm has order. It has a definite, what we call throw. It has a definite frequency. And everything in this world is a frequency of something. So matters which have very low frequency become solid and hard. Matter which have high frequency become very fluid. And matters which spin at an extremely high frequency becomes light or even no light. So we say is the form of the creator. His rear left arm carries the Damaru, the vibration which create the universe. So for those of you over the next couple of days when you will see Shiva, do not do not just take what you're seeing in front of you as being what we call an inert symbol, but it's full of life. The symbolism means is that you're actually witnessing constant creation, and your creation and what you do is happening in your body every second of your life. You will be amazed that from the time you woke up this morning to now, how many new cells has been created by virtue of the rhythm of your body, by virtue of the energy of the body. How many new things you would not have created at work if you were, a parent. You would have created nice cuisine in your kitchen. All of that is part of the creation. Now let us go to the second aspect of what we call of our own self, is that it's called samhar, or destruction. Here we look at again at Bhagwan Shiva, and basically we see the fire. And we know fire is the most potent aspect of energy. And its symbols, if you know, if, for those of you who have seen the Statue of Liberty, you will see fully the power that that flame in that hand gave. And this is a symbol of what we call Nataraja. Somebody had a really good idea. The rare, the raised rare hands carries the fire that destroys matter to a formless state, or for regeneration. In that sense, it is the fire of transformation, not destruction. It implies constant change. There is no being, only becoming. This is a lot of philosophy, but what we are saying is that once you know who you are and you take just one aspect of Shiva's, or understanding the power of Shiva, or understanding the power of creation, then you'll be able to create. You'll be able to look at all of the things that are not good in your life, all of the clutters, all of the problem, and get rid of them, and then transform yourself. And then, of course, once you do that, you always have to question yourself, as point three, as to maintenance and protection. You can see always open. The palm of the forehead indicates an assurance. There is nothing to fear about constant cosmic overhaul. And this applies to us. There is always changes in our life. Let us learn from the Lord. Let us learn from the Creator that it depends on how we view the changes that are happening in our life. Always be positive in your life. Like Bhagwan Shiva, his dances is changing the universe every second, every millisecond, every microsecond, every atomic second. He is changing the universe, not only the earth, but that universe that resides within us is constantly being changed for our own good. It is being transformed. And then let us, the final one, let's just go to number 5, is anugraha, or blessing. The raised left foot combined with a closed hands signifies the option available before all of us. All of us have this capability of being a good person. We may call it moksha, or having a liberation from ignorance, by implication from the cycle of birth and death. So devotees, on Bhakto, on this nice evening, it's like taking in who you are. This is not so much about Bhagwan Shiva, because Bhagwan Shiva is without form. He is without gunas. He's without emblems. He's without friends. He's without enemies, because he is the supreme Lord. He is Shivoham to Shivoham. And we will go very nicely, and you will chant with me some beautiful words um, of prayers to Bhagwan Shiva. And so before we go, then let us say when we consider ourselves separate from Bhagwan Shiva and chants Om Namah Shivaya, I bow to Shiva as though Shiva is separate from us. The meaning is we are still on our spiritual journey from Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. And this is an important admission, that at least we know where we are, devotees, because your life and my life and all of us' life is to be spiritual in our life, to feel always calmness with our life. And sometimes we do fall. Even the greatest devotee gets angry. Sometimes we can make lots of spiritual progress. And then sometimes the moment you lose your focus, the tamaso, or the dark part of your character, comes out, which might not be a beautiful things to see. If you were to photograph it, your aura will be more black than opposed to white. So Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, oh divine mother, always make me a being in such a way that I become Jyotir, I become a light, not any Jyotir, but an eternal light that brings happiness to all. So the commentary is, we are literally admitting that the omniscient, omnipotent Bhagwan is somewhere else other than within us. And of course, outside of us as well. So this is where Om Namah Shivaya, we have to move on over the next 4 or 5 days to start this transformation. And I want to assure you that this transformation can take place immediately. It will be in a split second where you have your ananda or your bliss, and you will be seen to be different, but you're not there to please any other person about your difference, but to what we call to enjoy your new status. In its abstract form, Bhagwan Shiva is worshipped as a lingam, also known as Shivaling. This representation portrays his limitless, transcendent, unchanging, and formless qualities. And even as we said, the gods could not fathom the power of this Shivalingam, or fathom the power of Bhagwan Shankar. And therefore, ordinary mortals like us, we have a lot of answers to get. If the Atma, or the self, is Shiva, how did it become a Jiva? And this is a nice question. You says, we are all pure being. We were born pure. So how come did we lose that consciousness? Especially when we are given the assurance from the Upanishads in a beautiful mantra, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Devotees, all of you are bathing in the pure water of your consciousness. In physical terms, we will say it's analogous to the purest water from the purest well, or from the purest fountain that you're bathing yourself with. But it's not any water, it's divine water. It's Amrit that has the power of changing your nature again to lead you from Tamasoma to Jyotirgamaya. If the Atma, how did it become a jiva. And explanation is best to be shown in a very pictorial way, because as we know, a picture can tell us 1,000 words. I am the Atma abiding in the heart of all beings. And this is what we want all of you to be blessed with, to see that your consciousness is present in the same form that is within you, in the presence of all living entities. It is present in the animals. It is present in all of the quadrupeds. It is present in the leaves of the tree. It is present in the blade of grass. It is present in every grain of sand. I am the Atma abiding in the heart of all beings. So when you start to see, go on your journey this evening or tomorrow, and you genuinely can see everything as being a form of the Supreme Being. I am conscious that some of the devotees here are worshippers of that Supreme Lord that is formless. But there are many of us who take account that the Lord that is formless can transform and embody himself in the form of whatever he wants to. The mountains is a form of that Supreme Lord. The waters flowing in the river cannot be anything but the movement and the rhythm of Bhagwan Shiva. And this is where prayers comes in. Kashmai Devaya Havishavidema. We pray, and as we see that beautiful water moving in the river or the clouds moving in the sky, what power, what greatness should come to our mind that transforms ourselves to our divine thoughts, that look, my consciousness that is within is also being extended to such a great movement above me. I am the Atma abiding in the heart of all beings. I am also the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. And this was said beautifully by Bhagwan Shri Krishna. So as we go on now, we have to study in pictorial form what our nature is. And in understanding this beautiful picture is called Shiva, Shiva Ardeshunari, which means Ardhaneshwari. Its mean is that form of Shiva and Shakti, is that form that this whole universe is what we call a fusion of positive and negative. It's a fusion of energy with inert matter. For example, let us say a copper wire, when it's not connected to the main, is inert. But the moment it's wired by a qualified electrician, he switches on the switch, it becomes energized. It gives power to the light, it gives power to the fan, to the air conditioning, to the car engine. And so in this way, the energy of Shakti gives power to us internally. So if you imagine how the size of, let us say, a physical battery, it will take to pump the blood in all the veins in your body, to take the oxygen from your lungs to all the parts of the body. How many millions of meters of electric cable it will take to power all the signal from your brain to all the parts of this body. And yet, if you were to cut this body, you will not find a battery. You will find nothing, for it is that nothingness or that consciousness that it is your real power. So devotees, this today is a day of introspection and recognition. How great you are, how beautiful you are, how happy you can be once you see that Bhagwan or that life in front of you is smiling through the smiles in every other person. So knowing what we know now about Om Namah Shivaya and Om Shivaya and Kashmai Devaya Havishavidem, what does it mean in our daily life, devotees? Is that it means is that if we can recognize the divine in ourselves and others as much through their jiva nature as through their Shiva nature, these two being both distinct and inseparable. So what we are saying, devotees, you are not any different from your own divinity. But the real problem we have in this world that we live in, we think that somehow we are separate from the divinity. And the easiest way to merge your divinity with your consciousness is to see that the same divinity with an open eyes in front of you is also present in the person next to you. To affirm this is what we call your Shiva nature, or your Brahma nature, or your Vishnu nature, or your Om nature, or your Omkar nature, whatever term you want to use as your divine nature, to affirm your divine nature of another is impossible without totally affirming that portion of it that constitutes their unique individuality or jiva nature. You know, God is good to everybody. Okay, I am wonderful. You might say I'm a good linguist or a good dancer or a good scientist, but so is that God within that other person who makes them a great farmer, a great computer engineer, a great, window cleaner, or whatever we can stress their greatness to. It is that same Lord that permeates everything, but creates a unity in diversity of this whole world. To meditate the divine self in the sense of the Shiva Sutra, therefore, also means meditating the divine self of the other and others in a way that does not separate their pure Shiva nature from their individual Jiva nature. So, devotees, it's really, really important that when we sit down in our prayers, we in our meditation, we do so from a humanity point of view, from a feeling of love, care, and affection for all of God's creation. And to reiterate, therefore, one moment, if I can highlight this. Yeah. Therefore, also means meditating your own beautiful self of the other and of the others in a way that does not separate their pure Shiva nature from their individual nature. For those of you who will be doing Shiva Puja and Shivratri Puja, the most important thing between now and the next couple of days is to focus your concentration on the overall and what we call world view or universal view of this Shiva that you will want to what we call energize within you. To fully affirm your Shiva nature, it is impossible without fully affirming the Jiva nature of all aspects. And implications of being divine-like or Shiva-like. And this is the essence of these sessions, to remind all of us that we want to be godlike, isn't that? So we want to be godly. We want to bring our divinity right to the top. And the only way to illustrate this, you do not know where your divinity is unless you apply energy to it. This energy comes from thoughts and meditation and a determination to be divine. If you take a pot of fresh milk, raw milk, and then you put it on a flame, right? And you heat it nice and gently. After a time, the essence of that milk would come to the top, and we call it cream. Now, but that is not the real essence of the milk. When you collect that cream and then collect that cream and you have enough, and then you churn that cream, what happens? The real essence of that cream becomes butter. And at the later stage, it becomes exactly what you have been wanting of yourself, to churn your spirituality so the ghee, the purity inside of you comes to the top. And this is one of the reasons why we are advised to only use pure ghee, the cow's ghee or the ghee from milk, in order to offer our spiritual oblations, because it's a symbol of the effort that it takes for you to reach this level of spirituality. But as we will go down and see in a few minutes, that all of that can be avoided by divine grace, where we can transcend all of the difficulties of years and years of meditation just by a change of our consciousness. The consciousness, or where we want to go, is to start being truly, truly, selflessly in love with all of God's creation, or all of the divine things we see around. I use this term divine in a very specific way, because everything that you can see is divine. Everything that you can see around you is a form of the Lord or infused by the Lord. Love is the light that guideth in darkness, the living link that united God with man, that assureth the progress of every illuminated soul. And this is such a beautiful thing. So before we do that, let us now go and chant nice mantra before we go to the main mantra of tonight. Is a mantra that defines Bhagwan Shiva in a very beautiful way, because if we are going to pray to Bhagwan Shiva, we need to know, again, as defined above, more than what is his real nature. And after knowing his real nature, that his real nature is within us, how then can we use this power that is within us to bring peace and happiness to each and every one? Let us slowly chant this mantra, and we will do it a few times, and we will go through the meaning below. But first, let's enjoy the words of this mantra. Om. You can chant Om with me. Om. Again. Om. We invoke Bhagwan Shiva. Om Parvati Patiye Namaha. Om Shivaye Namaha. Dhyanam Samarpyami. Avahanam Samarpyami. Boliye Shiva Shankar Bhagwan ki jai. Om Namah Shambhavaya Cha. Again. Om Namah Shambhavaya Cha. Next line. Mayo Bhavaya Cha. Mayo Bhavaya Cha. Namah Shankaraya Cha. Namah Shankaraya Cha. Mayaskaraya Cha. Namah Shivaya Cha. Shivataraya Cha. Together, the whole mantra twice. Om Namah Shambhavaye Cha Mayo Bhavaye Cha Namah Shankaraye Cha Mayaskaraye Cha Namah Shivaye Cha Shivataraye Cha. And put yourself as being infused with Bhagwan Shiva. That we are saying we offer our salutations to that supreme, the abode of serenity. So you're praying to that supreme Lord that you be blessed with what we call a serene nature. So on your list of the blessings that you want is this power to be calm, to free yourself from anger. Shambhavaye cha Om Mayaskaraye cha Nama Shivaya cha Shiva Taraya cha. Again. Om Namah Shambhavaye cha Mayo Bhavaye cha Nama Shankaraya cha Mayaskaraye cha Nama Shivaya cha Shivataraya cha. And it is saying that, oh Lord, let me be of a serene nature. Lord, let me Mayo Bhavaye cha, O embodiment of bliss, bless me that my nature be very blissful. And we offer our salutations again to my own self, that I will bring only shanti or peace and happiness into this whole world that I live in. And I will go out and search for opportunities of making the world happy. And at the end of the, or at the beginning of your day, you will always ask yourself this question: what can I do today that will make someone happy? And it's a beautiful concept that at the center of your focus or your consciousness is to be Shiva like, to be divine. And this is, what these mantras are all about, to bring out your divinity so it becomes a permanent part of your nature. And then when the last moment of your life would have come, because this human body cannot last forever, but the world will then refer to you, a divine being has gone on their journey forward. And this is how you want your legacy to be divine. What is divine is also what we call permanent. It is eternal. It's like sanatana, we like sanatana dharma, that these mantras that comes from sanatana dharma, the whole purpose is to make you be eternal. And of course your soul is eternal, but there are many, many billions of people in this world who will live a life without the consciousness. We are very fortunate that we have this consciousness, that we can be eternal. We pray Bhagwan bless you again to bring you alive. Let Bhagwan Shiva, destroy all of that, what we call the kama, krodha, moha, ahankara within us, lobha and ahankara within us, that we do not have any of those bad qualities that destroy our divine nature. And today we approach this beautiful part of, for the next couple of minutes, it's really a blessing to see Adi Shankara. He's reputed to be an incarnate of that divine power. For in his 32 years, he has left what no one else can do, or ordinary man cannot do, because these are things only Bhagwan does, or the super consciousness energy can do. He wrote many, many, many suktams and what we call shatatams. And This is the most beautiful one that takes us into the true nature of who Bhagwan Shiva is. As we said, it's a beautiful chant. It only has 6 verses, and it is the essence. If you were to go and study all of the Upanishads, and you want to know, well, what is my nature? Who really am I? What am I? It starts by defining what you are not. Yeah. So let us once clasp our hands beautifully, take the consciousness of that Supreme Lord in whatever shape and form you want to be, and let us go into this beautiful Nirvana Shatatam or Nirvana Suktam. Shatatam means is that it's like rather than an ashtakam that has 8 verses, a shatatam is a set of prayers that has only 6 verses. So at least we can learn this shatatam. Let us go now. It's beautiful. Have a look at the words. 1 second, if I can make it slightly big in case. 1 second. Let us start. 1 moment. Om. Chant with me. Om. 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 Mano buddhi ankara chita ninaham na cha shrotra jive na cha grana netre na cha vyoma bhumir na tejo na bhayah. Again, nacha vyoma bhumir na tejo na vayu chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. The chorus, please. Chidananda rupam shivoham shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. If you can close your eyes and you meditate on what we call Chida, is the first word of the 4th line. Chida means your consciousness or your chitta, and your ananda, your consciousness. Sorry, the ananda is your bliss, and your consciousness is your chitta. So Chida Ananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Let us chant and meditate and feel yourself being energized, but also feel everyone else being energized. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Close your eyes, please. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. So Bhagwan is defining or telling to us how we should portray ourselves, that we must be free from all what we call these characteristics. But the mantra is saying, I am not the mind, the intellect, the ego, or the memory. Devotees, all of us get into lots of problems in our life because we misuse our intellect or we misuse our mind. And some people may say, what a bad mind that person have. You never want anybody to think of that of you. And the most destructive one is our ego. We ahankara. Look, the third word is ahankar, is that we want to always be kind to others, to be respectful of others, to show mercy to others, and to show, there's a nice word, empathy, to show empathy or have empathy in all of your dealings. Then Bhagwan, the mantra says, na cha shrotra jive, na cha grahana netre. I am not the ears, I am not the skin, neither am the nose or the ears. I am not the space, not earth, not fire, not water or wind, because this comes down to who exactly we are from an eternal point of view. We are true consciousness and true bliss. But let's enjoy the chanting and then we'll come back to the meaning. Nacha prana sangya navai panchavayo nava sapta dhatur nava panchakosha nava panipadam nachopshta payu. Everyone, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Devotees, let's go through the words. Nacha prana sangyo navai pancha vayahu nava sapta dhatu nava pancha koshaha nava panipadam nachop shashta payu chida nanda rupa shivoham shivoham. Again, let us pray. Nacha prana sangyo navai pancha vayu nava sapta dhatur nava pancha koshaha nava panipadam nachopshra payu chidananda rupam shivoham shivoham. And many a times you would be asked, can you define what gods you Hindu pray to? What is your concept of divinity? Our concept of divinity is defined again in the last verse. Chidananda rupaha shivoham to shivoham. That every consciousness that pervades this whole universe, animate and inanimate, seen and unseen, that which gives out sound and that which is silence, all of that is defined as a form and nature of that supreme God that we want to empower us today to make our life great. And it's so beautiful to think that now we are having this knowledge of another dimension. And this is what we want us to be taken, that by virtue of the blessings of Shiva, we are taken to another dimension. Let's go to verse number 3. This is so beautiful. Name dvesharago, name lobha moho. Again, please. Name dvesharago, name lobha moho. One more time. Name dvesharago, name lobha moho. Next line. Madonaiva menaya matsarya bhavaha. Madonaiva menaiva matsarya bhavaha. Na dharmo na charto na kamo na moksho. Na dharmo na charto Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Now your turn. I will do very silently. Na me dvesha rago, na me lobha moho, mado nay vinayva, matsarya bhava, na dharmo na charto, na kamo na moksha, chidananda rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham, Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham. Devotees, please read with me the translation because it's so fundamental as to what are the things we do not want in our life and what some of the things that we should keep in our life. So to start now, there is no like or dislike in me, no greed or delusion. I know not pride or jealousy. I have no duty, no desire for wealth, lust, or liberation. I am the form of consciousness and bliss. I am the eternal Shiva. Bhakto Namedvesha Ragho. Bhagwan Shri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita went to very detailed description as the dualities of Rago and Dvesha, Dvesha and Rago, that lots of the unhappiness we have in life comes from having like and dislike. It's so easy for us to like something and then within a few minutes you dislike that thing or that person who you want like. But most important, we should try not to have greed because greed causes anger. There is a beautiful mantra, Isha idam sarvam, yatkin chit jagat yang jagat, tena tyak tena bhunjita, margrida kashya sivadhanam. Devotees, when you are what we call Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham, what this really means is that when your consciousness is at its height, you become a magnet for all forms of benevolence. You know, in the previous yugas, the one who had this Chida Ananda Rupa and who were true Shivohams, they went to the forest and they gave their life to meditation. We live in Kali Yuga, where we are not supposed to do that. But what because of what we call the grace of the Lord, right? We are blessed with each and everything that our heart desire. So when you become a consciousness, a supreme consciousness, you become a light and you become the pathway for all wealth and richness and good desires to be fulfilled to come to you in person. You never need to go in search because your divine light is shining for all to see. Let us go to the next line. Na punyam na papam na saukyam na dukkam na mantro na tirtam na veda na yagya aham bhojanam naive bhojam na bhokta chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham chidananda rupam shivoham shivoham. This word papam is wrongly translated by many to be what we call sins. There's no concept of sins in Sanatan Dharma or Vedic Dharma, but there is a concept of rightful action, which is punyam, or unrightful action, or what we will call unrighteous action, which is what we call papam. And so, what we want, if we are going to divine, we are going to act in a divine way, then the concept of papam doesn't exist because we become very sattvic in nature. Whatever we do would be very godlike. And this is the divinity of Bhagwan Shiva. It says, look, na mantra na tirtham na veda na yagya. Aham bhojanam naive bhojayam na bhokta. I Bhagwan Shiva, or when you're a consciousness, you do not need prayers. I need no mantras, no pilgrimage, no scriptures, or no rituals. I am I'm not the experience, nor the experience itself. I am the form of consciousness and bliss. What it means when you reach towards the end, all of your wishes become one with the universe. You're a supreme conscious. You do not need anything because you are the divinity yourself. In fact of praying, you are the one who would be what we call the object of being prayer. And beautiful mantra now, chant with me very nicely. न मृत्योर्न शंका न मे जात वेदा पिता नैवे मे नैवा माता न जन्म न बंधुर्न मित्रम गुरु नैव शिष्य चिदानंद रूप Shivoham, Shivoham. Devotees, when Adi Shankara was writing this mantra, every word of this mantra was infused with divinity. In our dharma, our prayers are what we call murtis, but they are literary murtis. They are literary murtis and they are forms. Let us do the last mantra and then we will close. Aham nirvikalpa nirakara rupa vibhuvachya sarvatra sarvendriyanam nacha sangatam naiva muktir nameyaha Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. Let's clasp our hands. Om Mangalang Bhagavan Shambhu Mangalang Vishwabhaktajat Mangalang Parvatinath Mangalang Bhaktavastala Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Devotees, your Atma, not anybody else, not any of the named Bhagwans, but your Atma, yourself, want you to be a form of consciousness and bliss. Your Atma wants it to be your own self. You want now to move forward over the next couple of days into be that full recognized Atma. Devotees, I now stop the sharing and I would like to say pranam to each and every one of you.